Blog Talk Radio.
We welcome the night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Not Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
Yeah, a little goo for brains right now, but...
Yeah, how are you? Well, besides losing your brains, I'll tell you one thing. Here I was thinking, all right, this week we're not going to have any issues, But no, I'm having internet problems. I'm not on my personal computer because my internet's out. So I had to go through on my phone to get this stupid switchboard working because the internet's out on my main computer. So here I am.
That is the worst.
Yeah. So it was, things are not showing up on the phone because, again, I don't know, it's too much memory or something, or data, whatever. But nonetheless, we're here, and my internet's just completely gone. I have all bars or lights showing I have internet. I refreshed everything, the modem, everything. No. Internet's just gone. You think you have it, you're wrong. So here we are, again, with a little bit of an issue before the show starts. But luckily, hopefully, I don't know. This show, Ian, I don't know. There's what is there to talk about with tonight's show, Ian? We'll get into that. So,
I don't know.
Our film. We're 3 weeks into our Indie-Pendence Horror Marathon, and it's been a freaking marathon, I'll tell you that much, on our patience with everything happening. But nonetheless, we have a film from a few years ago, 2019, called Moonbow. It is a Kentucky-released film and made in Kentucky, I believe in the Lexington, Kentucky area, right around in there. And they were around Scarefest that year, 2019, promoting the film. And I, again, being the person I was like, hey, I like to review the film and everything, like if there's a screener or anything like that. But no, they were there to promote the screening of the film later on, a few months later at I don't exactly remember the name of the place, but it was a screening. And so they had the screening, and like, okay, are the DVDs available soon? So like, all right, I'll get a DVD off of you. And I had to go through so many hoops. And this is, again, 2020, because, again, DVDs weren't available to review, and this was later in the year, or else we would have done it, 2020 Indie-Pendence Marathon, when we were doing our marathon shows, because that was the year of the marathons. And they had no DVDs yet, and they didn't come out until, I believe, towards the end of the year, or early 2021, somewhere in that time frame. And, again, I had to go through a lot of hoops. At the time, this is, currently, I think, again, for Ian, it was on YouTube, and if you want to buy it, I think you can go through Venmo now, I think it's what it's called, and go through it. So I had to go through a lot of hoops for this damn thing. And so because at the time they didn't have PayPal, they didn't have any other way to do it. and I had to send them $10 in the mail to get it. And here we are, a few years later, finally able to review it. And that's the backstory of how I know about Moonbow. The film itself, well, that's another story. But I guess we'll get into it, and then we'll get into. If you can already tell, this is going to be a fun show. Are you ready, Ian?
As ready as I can.
I think you did. You're wanting to end this as soon as I can. No, I kid. But okay, Moonbow. Okay, where do I start? We have friends in a car who are going to the place in the middle of the forest where there's a certain time of the year where the moon creates a rainbow, which is entitled Moonbow. And so they go there, they meet up with other people, and they just party and talk about Guns N' Roses and Guns N' Roses some more. They sing Guns N' Roses, and then they party some more. Some of them go with other people to make love or swim. They get high. The forest ranger is friends with another dude. They get high and drunk. They all party. Did I mention they party? Well, they party. And so they party a lot. And then around 46 minutes in, people start to die, and then they just run through the woods, and then they run through the woods, and then they run through the woods, and then they get chased, and then they run through the woods, and then they run through the woods, and someone dies, and then they run through the woods. And then the movie's over. Ian, did I miss anything?
No, not really. There's really nothing that happens.
Yeah. I don't want to be hard on the film, but again, it's kind of hard not to, because again, it's a slasher movie. All right, I've seen, again, this movie's been done numerous times. I was watching it, and just recently, maybe a month or so ago, there's another movie called The Legend of Crown King. It's a very rare, it's hard to find movie, where those people go into the mountains to look, and then they're attacked by a killer with a knife. And they do a lot of just running in the mountains on rocks, on cliffs, and a little wouldn't say backwoods town, but one of those trail towns that's like right at the below the base of a mountain where you're hiking, stuff like that. And so with that one, it's the same thing where it's just a bunch of people running, and they get attacked by a killer with a sort of a mask and a knife. And this one, at least that one, because I didn't really bring it up yet, is that one was sort of vicious in a sense with the way that the killer offed his victims. It was really sort of, he was mean-spirited, he was really, guttural in a sense. This one, it's just a stab here and there, and then they're just running and running some more. And yeah, Ian, I hate to say that this one just was not very good. I get the idea that they're going to. It's like the final terror approach where there's like not much going on. And again, some people would like that. In the best possible, a slasher film's easy to make. They went out and they made a movie. It's right up there with zombie films. They're very simple and easy to make. But with slasher movies, you can get away with not doing much. And they kind of did that with this one. And because in the best way possible, it's like a stoner movie. When I was watching it, I was like, Ian, this is like a stoner movie. And because, all they do is talk about, getting high and drunk, and, there's not much story. It's just shoot this scene, people partying, and then they go off. They give you some sort of semblance of a story or a history of the area, talking about, satanic rituals that was happening in the backwoods there in this forest, woodsy area. And, like, they give you a few things here and there, but there's not much to the film. Like I said,
No.
the party, and, like, the first murder happens at 46 minutes in, and then it's just the talk, then the killer starts chasing somebody, and then they do that for, like, 20 minutes, and then he kills them, and then the chase ensues again, and it's just a rinse and repeat type situation. And, again, for a slasher movie, people might like it, but because it's very simple and basic. That's why I said it's basic as can be, and there's not much to it. I mean, this is honestly like you could probably watch this stoned. I was thinking because I was watching a bunch of other ones. One recently called Starleaf, which is about pot and aliens, but they did like technically the same thing where not a lot happens. And they try to give you some backstory about this specific area in the woods, but it's just them talking nonsense. And there's like some PTSD with one of the main characters, and like you can smoke it, but you can't take it with you. And like there's a whole subplot about aliens. It's hardly there. And then I was like thinking about Shrooms from like 2006, 2007, somewhere in there, where that one is just them going about, but that one's sort of like fantastical. Because there's like a talking unicorn and all kinds of other, or a talking horse or something like that in that film. Where this one, it felt like I'm just watching a commune of like hippies. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just the way that it was filmed. It's just like I'm like watching a Grateful Dead concert. Just like watching the people in the crowd, at a Grateful Dead concert, just like mellow out, chilling, partying, just living the life, and then. Then there's a subplot of people getting killed by this just random dude in the woods. And there wasn't anything to the film. I mean, that's the thing. That's what I hate about the film. It's like there's nothing. There's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to go in depth about because it's just people partying and then people getting murdered, killed off and running through the woods for the remainder of the movie. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And I hate that. That's the main thing I hate about this film is like you can give some lore and some backstory and all this other stuff, but make it interesting. And it just felt like I was watching like footage of a fucking Grateful Dead concert. Like, what do you think of the Dead, man? Oh, man, I tell you, man, the Dead rocked. They just blew my socks off. That 20-minute fucking jam session in between Left for Grey is fucking amazing. It was just, it just felt like that, It's just, but take Grateful Dead and insert GNR because that's all it was. All they talked about was GNR, and it was just, I don't know, it's just like small talk. The movie,
And
your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's get into. You talked a lot about all the lack of there was. I was getting almost motion sickness from the cinematography. Like, it looked great. I'm guessing it was shot on a really nice cell phone. But there was a lot of, like, odd swoops. There was a lot of swoops. Like going up and down and sideways, and I just was like, whoa. I was getting a little, I felt like I was in Cloverfield again.
It was very, lucid.
But, yeah, so it was just like, it was that. I mean, it looks fantastic for the budget. I mean, cameras are getting real. It's almost now you just invest in a really nice cell phone instead of like in a really good movie camera. But like, I'm not gonna say anything too much over it. But it was just really odd. Especially some of the angles it just felt like some of it was just getting overdone. Especially with a lot of nothing happening. So it's just, I don't know, it was bland. I was forgetting the movie as I was watching it. Like,
yeah.
And then
I was watching. And I was like, Ian, this is going in one ear out the other. This is just one of those films where you're like, oh yeah, I just watched that yesterday, and it's one of those ordeals. Like when you look back, like Moonbow, what the fuck? Oh, that no, yeah, okay, yeah, I remember. No, I don't. Wait a second. Yeah, no. What happened in that movie? It's like one of those ordeals.
Yeah. I don't remember a single person's name, and I literally turned it off right as I called. Like, this movie is super forgettable. And I am bad with names, so it's like, it's really easy for me to forget somebody's name.
They don't even really bring up too many names. I mean, they bring up, like, the sheriff, or the forest ranger, or whoever he was, the park ranger, and
that was
the
so
main
weird.
doobie guy, and, like, they introduced more characters, with the doobie guy and, like, his girlfriend, I guess, and then, like, the other one that stayed there that hooked up with the black dude. I mean, so there's, like...
Yeah.
There was, like, one... I'll say this. There was one good shot of, like when they went, like, real close, like, when someone was dead, I think, like, the second person that died, they did, like, this, like, shot where, like, they zoomed in and then they panned out.
Yeah.
And then there's another shot with, like, they did the same thing, but, like, the blood coming off the knife. And, like, there's some good shots in the movie, but there's just no substance. It's just go ahead.
I was just agreeing, like, yeah, it's just nothing happens. It's literally like I wasn't going into the movie with high expectations. You never want to do that when it comes to indie films. Like, you just want to go in with a blank slate because, you don't want to set your expectations too high because then you're just probably going to get disappointed. But it was just like, I was hoping for more. Like, I mean, the movie that we've reviewed last week, had it wasn't,
went into a hole, There's a total opposite, or someone's doing like the most basic forgettable slasher, and I mean that in decent terms. I mean, and then you have last week's where it's just so down the rabbit hole that you had to pay attention. So much moving parts. It's like this total opposite each other.
Yeah, and that's just I mean, it comes with the territory of what we do, but still, it's just especially like a slasher, like In the Woods, the movie writes itself. I mean, it just felt like they just wanted to focus more on the party aspect than the actual plot of the movie, which, they were bringing up the witchcraft and everything, and I was kind of hoping to cut, like, a dark coven or something was coming after them, not Rambo.
Yeah.
Which was some good scenes. Like, I did enjoy when they were, when the killer was stabbing that guy in the river, and then he put his foot on the dreadlock girl's neck. I was like, that kind of looked nice. I was like, kudos, especially because I used to do martial arts a lot, and I have, like, fought in water like that. It is not easy. So for them to safely do those stunts, and that is what that is, it was pretty impressive. I was like, ooh, that's actually kind of nice that they didn't slip on the rocks and crack their heads open. And I was like, and the dreadlock, it looked real. I was like, oh. I was like, this looks like he's actually trying to kill her, because she looked very uncomfortable. And I was like, okay. So that was like, some points there on my end, but I was just like, and it's sad. I mean, the most memorable scenes are, just
nature,
like, really quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember, I mean, I think the most I'm going to remember from this movie is running through the woods.
Yeah.
And I think that's
it's
all
like
I'm
all I
going to take
remember
away
from one ad is, oh my God, oh my God, Ian, oh my God. That's all I'm going to remember from that film. But you have to wait, because we're going to remember that movie for the rest of our lives. Oh my God, this one, I'm not, because we had fun with its badness. There's nothing. I mean, it looks good because it's in the backwoods forest area that you shot it in, but there's nothing there to grab onto to have fun with or poke fun at,
exactly,
or to get on board. Even if it's a bad, because we're not saying it's not bad. It's just not memorable. This is just one of those. It's just oh yeah. What else? In the nicest way possible. I mean, I give you props for going out there and taking some friends, making a movie. It's not easy. I mean, Ian's going through that, but honestly, Ian, I'm sure with your writing class, it just seemed like they just filmed stuff. There was no narrative, just basic thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the whole point. It just. I think and honestly, I don't think that they're a bad director. Honestly, I really don't. It's just this is definitely, you could tell, a first movie. And if that's not, then if I'm mistaken, yeah. So I mean, this is definitely, it's a good starting point. You started, you did it. Good. Keep going. Take this and build up on it. Take the criticism, and we're not going to. We don't want to be too harsh, but we also don't want to just blow smoke up your ass.
We look at the good. I mean, I'm gonna go. We haven't brought it up yet, but recently I got sent another copy of Till Death Do Us Part. We reviewed it at the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And we had criticism on that movie. And the director went back and shot brand new scenes and re-edited the film. And he made an extended director's cut. He basically went in there, and again, I'm not saying it's just on our opinion, but it just seems odd that to go back and do that, because usually people don't listen. Oh my God, they're right. People don't listen. He went back in there. He edited stuff down that was superfluous. He took out some stripping scenes. He added backstory. He added everything that we kind of hinted at that would make the film a little better, and it worked. I mean, Ian still haven't got a chance to see it yet. We're still planning that, but I watched it because I wanted to see what he did.
Watch it.
And it's just the stuff that he added. That's what it means. The criticism Ian's talking about. He took that stuff that we talked, because again, I don't think anyone else talked about it, but because everyone else was giving it praises, and we're the only ones that sort of critical on it, what could have been, and to see him go through that and just re-edit it and re-new scene, shoot brand new scenes, and fix the issues that we kind of brought up. It's crazy. So our criticism, take it as what you will, but sometimes it works.
Exactly, and that's the thing, and that goes way back to another movie that we criticized, and they did the opposite. And they complained about it. And then they actually, posted it on, 3 different Facebook pages and was this review, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand my art, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, you made a movie about a demonic vibrator. Your movie is not. I mean, it's art. Yeah, art is subjective, but I was it's not that serious. And about the whole, and it involved tripping balls on mushrooms, but the rest of the movie was fine. It was just mostly that one scene, and so it's and that's what, and you brought that up, and I 100% agree with that assessment. That this was just pretty much that, just people being wild out in the woods, walking around, stoned and drunk and running, lots and lots of running. I was getting winded just watching it. But I was like, but it's not bad. It really isn't a bad film. It's just there's nothing to bite onto. It's like, you know, you order a cheeseburger, but you say cheese only, and then they don't add the patty to it, you know? Everything is there, it's just no meat. Mm-hmm. And you don't realize it until you take a bite into it. You know, it's just, you know, throw that in there. Like, make sure you're double-checking the bag and making sure that it is what you want it to be. And I get it. It seemed like it was a passion, fun project that they wanted to make for fun, and that's great. And they seem to have fun while doing that, and I love that they put, you know, passion into it. It's just, I think what needed was a good storyboard. I think a good storyboard, like, hey, let's write this out. Let's write, you know, the first act, middle act, you know, and final, and just, like, write out the acts. Like, let's get the introduction part out of the way, and then let's, you know, start building up suspense, because it's just like, you know, like, one scene where they were, you know, when that girl hooks up with that guy, and then he's like, I gotta wash this shit off my legs, and he goes into the creek, but when they're walking up, you see, like, a camera angle looking like somebody's stalking them, but then they just get right up on it, and you're just like, okay, so that whole suspense was taken completely away, because that you seriously started building up a nice suspense, and then it was just because you got close-ups. And I was like, mm-hmm. Okay, so that just threw away all that. Like, so, you know, and it just...
See, like, you're talking about this build-up. Their build-up is just the constant running. That was their build-up. That's
exactly
what I'm thinking of. It was just like, this is going to create suspense, and it's just constant running. Like, when is he going to get them? When is he going to get them? That's they're trying to build upon, or try to at least. And it just after a while, it's just like they're just running. You know, like I think I understand what you're trying to do. You know, like I'm saying with this, you know, while watching, like, okay, get to the point. You know, build suspense a different way. Like, oh, he's on top of a rock throwing a body down. Like, okay, and then he jumps on the person. And like, there's just like, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just like they tried, and like again, I give them props for trying. I mean, they made a movie.
Oh,
don't get me wrong, but it's just like it was the most simplistic idea ever. And like, it's just a slasher movie. Oh, you watch zombie movies and they're the same thing. Yeah, but at least they have some kind of story or a reasoning and stuff like that. Even stoner movies that I've watched have fucking more plot. I mean, than this one. I mean, yeah, it's just a dude chasing hippies in the woods or stoners in the woods. I mean, there's hundreds of movies like that. You know, like hell, I watch Pop Zombies 1 and 2, and there's hardly a plot in that film. You know, it's just random scenes. But at least like there's stupid shit in that movie to hang on to. You know, like we're gonna have the pregnant abortion or the pregnant sex scene or something like that. You know, like they have all kinds. They're poking fun at it. You know, this one it's as straight as it can be, and you know, it's just.
I think that's probably also where it went wrong too. It was it was a party stoner movie that took itself almost not super seriously because there was a lot of goofiness into it, but like I feel like there wasn't enough camp. Plus, they did really build up on their lore a little bit, and it's like, but they didn't really go anywhere with it. Not, you know, like.
It's like they're going down a hallway, and like all these ideas are on the door, but they just head straight for the exit. You know, like the
or they
beginning,
just ad-libbed the entire movie,
which
I could also see.
Yeah, you can see that too. And Ian, I want to bring this up because I don't know if it was because I got to see and I watched it that way, but when I messaged you about that one scene that it was a screen tearing, was that on the Was that actually on the YouTube video as well?
I might have missed it
because
I was
doing the first death.
Okay, see, yeah, around my son was really fussy, and I had to help my wife a couple of times, so I might have literally walked away right as that movie was going because I was just right around the corner.
Yeah.
So I could hear everything that was going on.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up on the radio show, not to you because I brought it up earlier for you to wait and check it out, because, again, I had the DVD, and I was like thinking when that started happening, because it's glitched and screen tearing, something that, like a low frame rate, like a lot of screen tearing, and I was like thinking, is there something wrong with the DVD? What's wrong? Like, and then it goes back normal. So I was like, okay, so it was intentional, and I wanted to double check that by Ian watching it, just to see if maybe it's intentional or not.
I can go back and look and tell you off air.
Yeah, don't worry. But yeah, I guess it was a dream sequence, because later on it came back into play, but it was not screen tearing, or glitched out. So I guess it was a dream sequence. It was a weird way to do a dream sequence, though, because usually it's all fuzzy, but that was just, you know what, for a dream sequence, we're going to screen tear this bitch, and glitch it out. That's a weird way, to do a dream sequence. But it's different. I mean, if it was intentional or if the DVD was defective, I have no idea. But, yeah, the movie, like I said, we don't know these movies going in. We usually watch them the day before or day of. So we plan this a week in advance. This one's been, again, a little bit longer due to everything going down with trying to get it out there. Years back trying to get it, as I mentioned earlier. But to finally sit down and view it and have it on the show, I mean, it's one, again, it's not seldom known. And, again, it is on YouTube available now because he premiered it. I don't know when it was, like earlier this year or last year. Premiered it on YouTube, so it is available on YouTube for free, or you can still purchase the DVD. It's a 2-disc DVD set. It's a nice set, I mean, but I have no reason to watch the bonus features. I'm sure like I said, when I talked to them and beforehand and everything at Scarefest, they were nice, just a little slow in responding and getting back to you, like, did you send it out? There's just a lot of things. Again, real world problems, whatever. It's not them, but still, again, I give them effort. They made a movie. I mean, even though it's the most simplistic movie we've probably reviewed on the show, because there's really not much to grab onto like we do with other films, especially during the indie shows or just art reviews in general, where we're able to catch on and hang on to something. Bring up certain things. This one, I think we really had to do a deep dive to talk about the film and the narratives that it was trying to achieve, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, again, like they tried, like Ian said, this is a first film effort, and hopefully, their next feature, if they make one. Sometimes you never know with these people. It could be just a one and done scenario. You hate that.
Yeah.
But sometimes,
especially when they
just
do
like,
good.
you know what, they got the one. But like that
one guy.
Really, I mean, I can't really suggest it. I mean that in the most sincerest way possible, because again, if you're a slasher fan, yeah, you're probably gonna. If you like Terror 10 Killer or fucking The Final Terror, I mean, I don't mind The Final Terror. But this one is just like it's a stoner version of that, where like not much happens and they run through the woods. Like I said earlier, The Legend of Crown King. But that one's a little bit more visceral with the killer than this one. I think there's like a beheading in that one. This one is just like stab, throat slit or something like that. And there's just like, again, not a lot to sink your teeth into with Moonbow. And again, they went out, they made something. I give them props, even though it wasn't for me. I mean, the idea was there. They just needed a little bit more meat on the bones, because they had a beautiful scenery in that forest.
Oh, they really
did. Even to go there,
that forest
the whole
was gorgeous.
fucking point is the Moonbow, and they hardly even talk anything about it. Like, oh, we're just going to go to this Moonbow, and then, like, characters get drunk and party and high and just wander around. Like, okay, we're just going to be mindless, high zombies walking around here. And, like, there's, like, superfluous, and then, like, people just disappear, and I guess they die. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they don't really.
I kind of want to see another Reefer Madness kind of movie, honestly.
Like it's
like
a
modern with fentanyl or something, or bath salt. Well, I guess there was that one bath salt movie.
Yeah, bath salt zombies.
but
yeah,
I
mean, there's really not much there. But again, if you're into slasher films, I mean, if you're like me with zombie films, if you're a slasher enthusiast, you're going to want to watch it because, again, who am I? You know, we just review things and give our opinions on things. And, like, some films might work for others. They won't work on us. Like me, like the film, it's fine. It's fine, but it's nothing memorable. You know, it's nothing that I'm going to remember, and I'm just going to look back on the shelf, you know, whenever I have a shelf to look back on. This is going to go in a box here soon. But when I look at it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to pass over it. You know, it's just one of those, like, oh, yeah, I sort of remember that one. There's nothing there. You know, it's like Crippled Creek. There's a slasher movie called Crippled Creek. It's like the most mundane slasher there is, but it's just, like, very simplistic. And just, like, people go to this cabin in the woods, and they hook up with dudes, and, oh, here's the killer. Okay. It's just, like, very basic and mundane. And that's, like, except for this one, like, the scenery is gorgeous. I mean, because it's, again, it's in
I really wanted
Appalachia.
to go walking through the woods after watching that.
Yeah. It's very great, you know, very, you know, like lakes and river beds and, you know, rocks and all kind of caves and the scenery just looked good, you know, that mountains of, you know, wood forestry areas. And, you know, it's Kentucky. I mean, it looks good. But I mean
it was definitely Red River Gorge.
Yeah.
If anything.
Just the narrative is just basic. It's just basic. There's nothing there. Like I said, it's just party for the first act, you know, normal chit-chat conversations about Guns N' Roses, people hanging out, and then 46 minutes in, you start the chase sequences, and then murder every so often. And it's just, that's it.
Yeah.
But
I did like the... I really did. Also, I don't think you brought it up, unless I completely blacked that out. But like the scene where the girl's wrapped up in plastic, like when they kind of revealed that, a couple of shots like that, I thought that was pretty nice. It's like, ooh, that was a cool little serial killer looking scene. Hey, you know, and I think
the scenes are good if they're just in a better film. Like, it's just like,
exactly.
give me more reasons to make those scenes stand out. You know, I'm not going to watch another 80 minutes of this just to watch those scenes.
Yeah. And if you're going to do a slasher film and you're going to start talking about some of the lore that's, you know, behind the movie, you know, or like rumors and stuff, kind of like, I don't know, maybe lean more into that. I think that sounded more interesting. Or give us a little bit more details about just the killer. You know, I felt like I also did not care about anybody.
Yeah.
I think there was too many people, and, you know, they were cracking up jokes and stuff more than we were learning about them. There was, you know, like, I mean, if we want to talk about party movies and stuff, that's basic, just a basic, the whole movie is a party, and that's, you know, the Slaughterhouse Slumber Party. Like, that was just drinking, talking, and nudity. But it was, you know, there was fun to it.
It was fun.
It was a, you know, so that, like, it's not just we're just like, oh, we hate party movies. I mean, there's plenty of movies out there that do parties. You know, just, I'd say, you know, for the next movie, that, and I'm I'm going to follow this. If they're going to keep going, I would love to keep, and don't give up. There's a woman that we have reviewed on this show more times than we realized.
Yeah.
And
good old Louisa. She never quits.
And just take, if Louisa can, I can. And take that attitude. Don't stop. Because you're going to make something good. Louisa,
yeah,
she has two good
every
movies.
10 Louisa movies, there's at least one good one.
And
or subpar,
good as,
They're
good as
they're
lightly.
bad. Yeah, good as lightly.
They're bad good.
With every Leprechaun's game, you might get one pagan warrior that's okay. And even then you have issues.
And that's the thing. Just, I say have fun, and we're not filmmakers, at least, not yet. We just need the money. But, we understand that there's budget constraints and location issues, and getting everybody together at one time is next to impossible when their lives aren't dedicated to only acting. So we get it, things fall apart, come apart, we understand that. But, we're not just harping on this movie for no reason, We've seen more indie movies. I feel like, at least with me, than I've ever seen in my entire life.
If we can set through radioactive flesh-eating foliage, you got a lot to get through, but not many people know about that one. But honestly, in a sense, it's better than that. You have to even though there's a lot more with that one, because a chick does have sex with a tree, or a tree branch has sex with a girl. Still, but
what was that
at least
movie?
It's a better made
black and white. It was really long. It was 3 hours long.
No, Nazi zombie carnage.
Yeah. That movie.
That was a fan film too. How we managed to make it through that was it was just again a lot of rinse and repeat stuff. Dude getting in a foxhole and.
I had to rewatch that movie. I think almost twice just to understand half of what was going on in that movie.
Yeah.
So there's
there's words again we harp and some of our words might be negative, but take it into consideration again because there's it's not a bad film. You tried. Other people's tried too, and it's been worse. So it seems like again. You didn't make a 3-hour fan film, all right? Don't get it, that was a fucking passion project if there ever was one, but it was a fan film.
Yeah.
3 hours.
So, and, God. Yeah, and that, I remember when the Avengers movie, they were like, it's going to be 3 hours long. They're like, I was like, yeah, I can sit through it. Don't worry. I was like, I have sat through longer and worse.
Yeah.
So
no doubt about that. We've succumbed to some pretty interesting films over the course of the show, but nonetheless, Ian, we got to call this an episode.
All right.
And yes, exactly. But thanks everyone for listening, and we will finish the Indie-Pendence Horror Marathon next week on Horror Not Oasis. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right, good night.